White House plans broad crackdown on liberal groups. Some of the highest ranking officials in the federal government used Charlie Kirk's podcast, guest hosted by Vice President J.D. Vance, to lay out their plans. And in which they straight up said, this is why I'm telling you. They straight up said, we're going after everybody. Okay? Not just leftists, liberals too. And I think liberals are totally in the dark. They do not understand what is coming. If you're a leftist, if you're an anti-Zionist, if you're an anti-capitalist, okay? If you've existed outside of the confines of what is permissible speech in mainstream media, you're already familiar with a lot of this stuff. You're already familiar with like what can happen. Okay? This is why I always say be cool, be normal. You know? Liberals, I don't think, recognize what is going to happen to them. Now, I don't know. I don't know to what degree. This crackdown will take place. I don't know what they're entertaining. All I'm saying is they're openly fantasizing about investigating leftists. Yeah. Meanwhile, Turkey. Hasan Piker should be banned on Twitch and then deported back to Turkey. And before people on our side cry about hypocrisy, remember that you can't say the word simp or R word on the platform, but you can openly incite murder against conservatives. Enough is enough. Nick Fuentes, who has fantasized about the assassination of Charlie Kirk on numerous occasions, is now taking up the mantle. Okay. Now here's another thing. Yeah, this is the other thing that I saw. Here it is. I quote retweeted Elon Musk who said, paging Jeff Bezos. Okay. Since someone wants to claim that in the clip, which he told hundreds of thousands of Twitch followers to go murder people, was out of context, which I didn't do that. I just wanted to remind everyone that Hasan called for the assassination of Tom Cotton to his roughly 1 million followers. Now, even in this footage, even in this image that they're posting, you can see what is taking place. Okay, here it is. Tom Cotton, I encourage people who get stuck behind the pro-Hamas mobs blocking traffic, take matters in your own hands to get them out of the way. Okay, that's a sitting senator from Arkansas straight up saying that you should do violence to protesters that are peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights. Okay. And I guess Pixie also said the same thing. This post is funny because it perfectly illustrates the asymmetry of violent rhetoric from the left and right. A Republican senator is insinuating that people should protest, but are demanding accountability from the content creator who is responding instead. And that's precisely what I said too. Elon Musk obviously retweeted this other Holocaust denying, lolly loving account. He's been doing that quite a bit these past couple of days. Okay, he said, paging at Jeff Bezos, why won't you listen to this file and ban Hasan Piker? And then I quote retweeted it and I said, you're such a weirdo, man, and said the asymmetry of acceptable violence also exists in speech. Interesting that a direct call to action to violently take care of pro-Palestine protesters exercising their First Amendment rights by a senator is not seen as violent, as opposed to a meme schematic in the QRTs as a response. Okay, but that didn't stop there. Elon Musk, who is obviously a billionaire, who is one of the most powerful people on the planet, who has made it his life's mission now to possibly get me deplatformed or maybe worse, was then highlighted by Nick Fuentes with a you. Okay, Nick Fuentes, who is supposed to be a critic of Israel. Remember, Nick Fuentes, who is supposed to be a critic of Israel, who has said a lot more violent about Charlie Kirk than I have. I've not said anything violent about Charlie Kirk. As a matter of fact, I've debated Charlie Kirk and I was slated to debate Charlie Kirk. Nick Fuentes, on the other hand, has spent most of his career actively outflanking Charlie from the right, calling him a demon, calling him a fake Christian, saying that he had actually subscribed to he's given his life to Satan, consistently talking about what must be done to Charlie Kirk, is now actively trying to take on the mantle for Charlie Kirk. Let's take a look at what Nick Fuentes has said about Charlie Kirk.
I think a lot of people are starting to find out Charlie Kirk is not the patriot that he says he is. And so I look at what happened last night and I think to myself, this is totally a doable operation. You know, Charlie Kirk in the grand scheme of things is just some... The dog is terrified. I had to go upstairs and reassure him because I'm screaming at my screen, calling Charlie Kirk and everything. The contrast could not be more clear. Charlie Kirk is a totally unexceptional human being. A moral struggle that's happening on the higher dimension, right? which is Christ versus the devil. Who does Charlie Kirk serve? You know, is he really a Christian? Is he really Christ-like when he supports foreign wars and Israel and all this? Look at the people he's taking money from. You know, so the guy's a fake Christian. The guy's not a patriot. He hates our country. He's un-American. Let's focus all our firepower on Charlie Kirk. Why are we doing this? It's because Charlie Kirk is a fake patriot, a fake Christian, and he hates his people. He's anti-white. This is our angle. We talk about Charlie Kirk's dual allegiance to Israel. The almighty Oz, you know, the massive head with the tiny face behind the curtain, Charlie Kirk, lording over the conservative movement. Remember, the goal is to expose the globalism, the fake conservatism of Charlie Kirk. People see that Charlie Kirk is not a real conservative. He is not a real nationalist. He is not a real Christian. And that is simply the truth. We humiliated Charlie Kirk last night. We took Gotham's White Knight and we brought him down to our level. We didn't exactly flip him, but we definitely humiliated him. We took one of their best and we made him a laughingstock. Charlie Kirk is not an honest broker, not a conservative. He exists, and Turning Point USA exists to control the conversation. Charlie Kirk was totally unhinged, and I think the guy has Asperger's, so he might have trouble with that. We acknowledge that Charlie Kirk is not conservative. He's destroying the country, and we can all agree that we have to put a stop to that, right? Charlie Kirk is and a coward, so we've got him checked on both fronts. It is worth mentioning that Dan Crenshaw, Charlie Kirk, I imagine these people, their IQs are like, what, 90, 95, something like that. I mean, these are not exceptional people. These are not intellectual heavyweights, right? Obviously, there's a big opportunity to humiliate Charlie Kirk in front of the president's son and demonstrate to the establishment that he is not in control. So that one is going to be a big one. You know, this is stuff that we've been saying for years, that Charlie Kirk is a leftist, that Charlie Kirk is not a conservative. There's a real risk that at an organizational level, we will cause problems for Charlie Kirk.
I remember you trying to ignore this asshat for years, and now here we are having to bring his awful ideas into the mainstream. You think I'm bringing his awful ideas to the mainstream? His ideas are already mainstream by Elon Musk, who opened up the unlimited faucet of neo-Nazi sentiment on his platform that he owns, okay? That's just the reality. And obviously, now everybody knows who the he is. People know what a groiper is now, okay? The reason why I did not cover Nick Fuentes. The reason why I did not cover Nick Fuentes is because Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi, right? He denies the Holocaust. He thinks Jews are responsible for all of society's problems, all this stuff, right? Nick Fuentes also happens to be a neo-Nazi that is anti-Israel. He's been anti-Israel from the jump. Not because he cares about all the people that Israel has killed, mind you, because he's obviously also viciously and vehemently anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, anti-whoever he considers to be not white. Now, Nick Fuentes himself is Hispanic, so that is also up for debate, whether or not he actually fits into the in-group that he is actively claiming is superior and should be defended, and the out-group that should be excised and destroyed. Because of this reason, because he was a very visible person who was anti-Israel for many, many years, he has been able to present himself as an earnest actor here, an honest actor, like a honestly anti-Israel actor, okay? Part of the reason why I was always troubled by a bunch of cynical right-wing grifters who claim to be anti-Israel specifically to garner the attention of mass audiences that they realize are looking for that kind of commentary, and part of the reason why even people like Nick Fuentes, who are honestly anti-Israel, or at least they were, but for anti-Semitic reasons. The reason why I thought that this was a dangerous prospect for a very long time was because it was going to give them amazing momentum. And it did. And now he's in a position to cash that in, okay? He can turn around and say, I've been debanked, I've been prosecuted, I've been pursued because I was right on Israel over and over again without actually revealing what his true opinion is, okay? And unfortunately, even before this Charlie Kirk assassination, I noticed that he was gaining a ton of prominence. He was gaining a shit ton of prominence, even amongst liberals. Charlie Kirk has always been wishy-washy with Trump support. He's gone back and forth. I mean, he was a participant in January 6th. There's suspicion that he might even be a cooperator with law enforcement. if you're wondering personally, like, oh, well, he's turning on Trump because Trump is too pro-Israel or whatever, that's not new. He has done that for a while. One of the big fears that I had was that Americans are more comfortable with anti-Semitic narratives when it comes to anti-Israel than actual materialist analysis as to why Israel plays this role. And that is happening in real time. And now he is positioned to seize control of seize control of the throne, basically, to become the forward-facing Gen Z guy for Republicans. Let him, this will drive down their numbers. What? No, I don't think you understand. He is a shrewd operative, very cynical, and also has the capacity to be funny at times, which is very dangerous. Charlie Kirk did not have that capacity. Nick Fuentes, despite presenting an even greater threat, being a straight up out and about Holocaust denying fascist, actually can be funny at times, which is how he is able to win favors with a broader audience. He's a cynical room reader. He knows how to position. He knows how to position his perspective in a way that comes across as appealing to liberals as well. He is a person that has been able to withstand the full faucet of deplatforming. And in spite of all of that, given the attitude shift that has been seismic on the issue of Israel, he's been able to basically claw himself back into relevance. And he's gotten a lot of help along the way, obviously, from the likes of Destiny, to which Destiny openly admitted to, saying, you know, I put him in front of so many podcasters, including like No Jumper and all these people, to which he then went along with like the whole Kanye train as well. There are many prominent right-wing figures online that are openly propping him up. Tucker Carlson being one of them. Asmongold being another. He is very well positioned. Yes, Nick Fuentes, alongside Kanye West, had dinner with Donald Trump as well. Or lunch. Or I think it was dinner. It doesn't really matter. But basically, the real reason why he has garnered this level of attention and this level of prominence is because a lot of people, Aiden Ross platforms him all the time. Aiden Ross, who is Jewish himself, has literally watched all of his videos and keeps saying he's based, he's awesome, attacking all of Nick Fuentes' enemies, people like myself. But like I said, the real reason why he has garnered this much attention in the last year or so is because the attitude shift on Israel has been seismic, and he has been seen as an earnest, an honest anti-Israel guy, a guy who has been anti-Israel for a very long time. And a lot of people don't make that assessment. They don't think like, why is this person anti-Israel, for example? Okay, they also feel that way. They also feel anti-Israel because you should feel you should feel a level of animosity towards a apartheid state that is unchecked, that is taking unlimited funds from America, from American taxpayers, and unlimited weapons to destroy the entire existence of a population of people, the Palestinians. Okay, but he's been able to use that anger and resentment that people have to prop himself up. That's the real reason. And that's the real reason why he was able to position himself against Charlie Kirk as well. They're pretty much aligned on everything, with the exception of Israel, right? Which is why he was always angling his position to showcase how honest he was and to showcase how dishonest Charlie was, despite and even at times showcase how dishonest Trump was, despite the fact that he rode Trump's coattails as well. Do I know where this goes? I don't. I haven't really followed Nick Fuentes too closely. I don't know how much of a shrewd operator he is, and whether or not he will actually reposition his commentary away from shitting on Israel to basically become the administration's guy, because that's the one thing that I don't think the admin will allow. You can't go beyond like Tucker Carlson style narratives when it comes to speaking out against Israel. And Nick Fuentes certainly goes beyond Tucker Carlson. If you notice, Tucker Carlson will speak out against Israel in a way where he will speak out against Israel in a way where he won't ever turn around and be like, this is the Jews. He will actually, if you listen to him just on Israel, he comes across as almost like an anti-Zionist, because he knows he's a professional media broadcaster. He knows how to dance around the issue. Nick doesn't do that, or hasn't done that up until this moment. But it does feel like this 180 degree pivot on Charlie Kirk, for example, leads me to believe that he is going to moderate his position now that he has more prominence and try to become the face of the Gen Z right. He was pissing his pants about you on a show too.
Somebody like Hasan Piker.
Yeah.
Such a...
Yeah, that was why I thought it was really funny when he was like, on me on his return stream that he did, right? On Rumble, I believe, in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination, where he said that I didn't sufficiently grieve Charlie Kirk, that I'm a dangerous and violent individual who needs to get deplatformed. And it's really interesting because, like, I am perhaps the most visible, the most prominent anti-Israel media figure on the left. And also, there is a reason why the ADL has been up my asshole non-stop and rarely ever discussed Nick Fuentes in the process, especially in the last 2 years. And now he wants that voice gone. Maybe he's just doing this because he wants to shift. He wants to use the existing momentum, the punitive momentum that they have in the administration, the appetite that they have to prosecute political dissidents of the administration. Or maybe he wants to shift the attention away from people asking questions about his anger, his hatred for Charlie Kirk, how much he has pursued Charlie Kirk throughout his career to make a name for himself. Same with Ben Shapiro. Maybe that's the reason why he's hitting that note. Hasan Piker should be banned on Twitch and then deported back to Turkey. And before people on our side cry about hypocrisy, remember that you can't say the word simp or R word on the platform, but you can openly incite against conservatives. Enough is enough. And before people ask me, like, why are you talking about Nick Fuentes? You didn't used to talk about Nick Fuentes. Yeah, dude, I didn't, because he was utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. But I noticed that he was actually reaching a level of prominence that I thought wasn't so great. And now he has reached that level of prominence. Now he is a genuine issue. I have found 0 tweets of Greenblatt about Fuentes since October 7th. Yeah. Here are all the times that Jonathan Greenblatt talked about Nick Fuentes. Once, obviously, the anti-Israel sentiment got to a degree that was terrifying, he moved on to bigger and better things. He's been too busy coming after me since October 7th. This is part of what I explained. This is part of what I was talking about. I said these dumbass liberal institutions that present themselves as civil rights organizations that spend every waking moment trying to go after people who are anti-Zionist but not anti-Semitic are doing a disservice. This is the environment you created. I hope you enjoy it. There were 2 routes in the United States of America where people would exhibit anti-Israel behavior. Either they would be anti-Zionists who are not anti-Jewish, or they would become anti-Semitic anti-Zionists. And if all of the right was constantly shitting on the left and the liberal institutions of prominence were also shitting on anti-Zionists who were not anti-Semitic, the voices that would be elevated in that process in mainstream discourse would be the anti-Semitic anti-Israel people. And now you're there. You did this. When you Google Nick's name, the second result is the ADL hit piece. What are you even saying? First of all, Nick Fuentes is anti-Semitic. Make no mistake. I mean, the ADL. My hatred and my anger and my resentment towards Nick Fuentes is because of the same resentment that I have for fascism when Israel is doing it. It doesn't matter. When Israel does fascism, when Israel engages in ethno-religious supremacist ideals, when Israel is working at the behest of Zionism, that's still fascism. It doesn't change at all when it's Nick Fuentes doing it for what he describes as white people that features him as well. Richest man in the world is trying to cancel you. How's that feeling? It's just whatever. It's another Monday. It is what it is. Let's
hollow.
continue.
Such a hollow, empty, sad person. Hasan Piker saw Charlie Kirk, someone that he knew, get shot in the neck and his neck erupt with blood. We don't need to be graphic about the details, but everybody should look at that long and hard and let it sit with you. When Hasan saw that, his first reaction was to make a glib remark about gun control.
Yeah, he didn't think that my shock and distaste for what I saw was sufficient, and he was mad that I turned around and said the only way that this violence could have potentially been prevented, not a 100% guarantee ever, is if there were people in positions of power that took the initiative and took active steps to prevent gun violence from taking place in this country. Interesting that was not, that was completely unacceptable. You're not supposed to talk about that.
Seriously? That's a 31-year-old man. That's a young man with a wife and kids. He got shot in cold blood, publicly executed in front of thousands of college students. Never forget the trauma of his children, of his family. What about the people that witnessed this? What about everybody that will be affected by the knock-on violence that results from this? And you hollow, sick person, your response is to make some glib remark about gun control? You. And here's...
Again, a Holocaust-denying neo-Nazi who actively stalked and got his audience of groypers to stalk Charlie Kirk wherever he went, a person who has likened miscegenation, race mixing, to bestiality. That's who we're talking about. That is Nick Fuentes, okay? Over here, trying to engage in some sort of moral posturing, engaging in the exact same fake outrage, while also demanding that any sort of left organizing get censored, get deplatformed, and criminally prosecuted. After years and years of developing some kind of credibility in these corners of the internet, okay, by saying, I've been debanked, I've been deplatformed, now he's turning around and saying, I want that for the left. Perhaps this is part of the reason why he's doing it, though. The notion that groypers didn't have beef with Charlie Kirk is just entirely ahistorical. The Groyper War was a campaign launched exclusively to harass him.
This guy is Coward! Yeah, get out of here. Chanted right out. Decisive victory. We snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. They thought they had us. That's the best you have?
You thought leftist infighting was bad? Wait for fascist infighting? No, I'm completely aware of this, okay? Part of the reason why I never touched it is because let him fight. In many circumstances, if I involve myself in these affairs, I become the primary target, because they stop fighting amongst themselves and then they come after me instead. Now that a fight is over for Nick, because he's like cynically trying to take advantage of the situation to place himself on the throne after years and years and years of pursuing Charlie Kirk, okay? And also Ben Shapiro as well. Here's another one. Nick Fuentes, a Nazi Frankenstein monster created by the conservative alt-right, is now turning on his masters and vowing to destroy the GOP while harassing Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro, as Malcolm X would say, the chickens are coming home to roost. Right? That's from December 14th, 2020.
It's great to see you. Why did you give a 45-minute speech about me at Stanford, and you won't even look at my direction?
Hey, he's with his kids.
Come on, I'm right here. Hey, let him cross, man. Let him cross. I know you're with your family, but I can't get to anywhere else. A 45-minute speech? Wow. Well, that's our free speech warrior, everybody. Champion of the battle of ideas. Good job, man. What's ideas, man? Wow.
Hey,
come on. It's his family, man. It's his family. It's his family. Hey, no. You guys don't watch the dog. Watch it.
Aren't you supposed to rise above instead of going down in the mud with someone?
He gave a 45-minute speech about
You're only repeating that because you're trying to make yourself sound important and you're not.
They've been swearing him for years. This is the only time we can get him is when he's crossing the street and he uses, I guess he's just like the Palestinians using human shields, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
But wait, there's more. Since 2020, he's never stopped. This has been his agenda forever. Here is Squirrel also pointing this out. For those unclear about the difference between Nick Fuentes and Ben Shapiro, hates Muslims, hates LGBTQ, hates immigrants, hates women's far-right nationalism. Ben Shapiro is Jewish and also pro-Israel. The alt-right and Nick Fuentes specifically hates Jews and also hates Israel. There are some in the alt-right that hate Jews but love Israel as well, for the record. Okay? The far-right contains multitudes. There are also plenty of people who are pro-Israel but also deeply anti-Semitic. I would say broadly the evangelical Christian movement is broadly anti-Semitic, but also very, very pro-Israel. They think that Israel has to be given to the chosen sons and daughters of God so that the rapture can happen. They have their own theological justifications for it. And of course, Ben Shapiro, as I've routinely presented, is fine with anti-Semitic people as long as they're pro-Israel. Ann Coulter tweets regarding Jews, awful, nonsensical. Ann Coulter is also super pro-Israel and always has been. So no, I won't lose sleep. The Jewish people have always been plagued with bad Jews who undermine it from within America. Those bad Jews largely vote Democrat. The funniest part about this, of course, is the Republicans don't give a shit about any of this. They're not going to care. They're not going to, because they don't actually give a shit about Charlie Kirk either. They care about how they can use Charlie Kirk's assassination to their advantage to undermine political organizing in this country, political dissidents, maybe even prosecute and arrest them. Okay? So no, I don't think they give a shit about Nick Fuentes actively pursuing Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro and numerous other figures. The thing that they do care about Nick Fuentes, however, and I think that that is something that they won't be able to overlook, is his consistent anti-Israel advocacy, his consistent anti-Semitism. If he was pro-Israel, it wouldn't matter. But the fact that he's anti-Semitic and anti-Israel makes him a threat for the Republicans. So I still don't believe that the Trump administration will, if he remains anti-Israel openly, I don't think that the Trump administration will welcome him with open arms. But it kind of doesn't matter because he has been able to swing a lot of the audiences, even liberals, even critics of Trump, into thinking that he is a tolerable figure.
It's my message to Hasan Piker and every liberal sucker like him. You better disavow this violence. You better cry like Dean Withers. And I don't say that, maybe that comes off like I'm humiliating him. Who knows whether that was sincere or not? I hope to God that it was. And if it was, you know what?
Okay, I take offense to him calling me a liberal. I think that's a bit up. You better cry. Look at this little booger eating manlet. This little man talking big game, talking big. You better cry. Well, I'm not. The f are you going to do about it?
Good on him. That's a good kid. And he said some nasty things about me. That's a kid with a conscience. He said, I don't think we should kill people for disagreeing. Is that divisive now? He had to apologize for weeping that someone he knew was murdered. That kid has a conscience. I have some faith in that generation. Here's my message to Hasan and all these smug, glib liberals like that. If you cannot, if you will not disavow this violence, we will have no choice but to consider you as no different than the killers. That's complicity.
No generation will claim Nick. There's plenty of evidence of Nick supporting political violence. Yes, he's a Nazi, of course. Once again, I'm more so frustrated with the fact that he's falsely presenting me as a liberal. I don't think that's appropriate. But older folks gonna eat that shit up? Yeah, he's just trying to farm the new wave of people who don't know his background at all. But it is funny because he is acting like he's gonna call the principal on me. Like he's like, oh, you better cry real tears, or else I'm gonna tell Daddy, I'm gonna tell Trump to come after you and arrest you.
You could be forgiven up until this point for being irresponsible. We all get heated. We all do it. I'm guilty of it too. It makes hypocrites of all of us. We murder each other with our words all the time with our gossip, our slander. We overreact. We say things we don't mean. We get angry. We harbor grudges and resentment, things that we should not. And that's not to excuse it. But the day that someone gets shot for the disagreement, if you can't bring yourself to show the slightest ounce of humanity to a moderate Republican who got killed for no reason, this is a moment we all recognize could set us down the path towards a civil war, could set us down the path towards unbelievable horror, suffering, bloodshed. If you can't bring yourself, even for the selfish sake of yourself or your own people or your own pathetic side, to show the slightest ounce of humility, of mercy, of magnanimity, benevolence, charity, then you are no better than the killer.
The funniest part about it is that you did disavow Kirk's assassination. No, I did. I did disavow it. And not only did I disavow it, but I also was traumatized by it for obvious reasons. But I don't think that Charlie Kirk is a moderate figure, nor one that was good for the overall collective consciousness or for political discourse in this country. Having said that, however, of course, Nick has to present it in this way because he is trying to shift the attention away from his fans that might have been responsible for doing this. Because here's the thing. I did not like Charlie Kirk. I did not agree with Charlie Kirk. But clearly, at least by Charlie Kirk's own assessment, I was not a violent threat to Charlie Kirk in the way that Nick was. There is a reason why Charlie Kirk refused to debate Nick Fuentes. There's a reason why Charlie Kirk refused to mention Nick Fuentes. There's a reason why he didn't have an issue debating me, on the other hand, both in the beginning of our careers, but also we were slated to debate next week. One must ask the question, why? Perhaps the many years of Nick Fuentes presenting himself as antagonistic towards Charlie Kirk and stalking him with his groypers is the reason why Charlie did not want to actually debate Nick Fuentes. Or maybe he didn't want to debate Nick Fuentes because he was worried that Nick Fuentes would eat away at his market share. It could be a million different reasons. But I see this as a transparent effort to, one, rehabilitate his image, to present himself as a more moderate figure, with the hopes that he will get hugged and kissed by establishment figures in the Republican Party who either don't know any better or are not fearful of his agenda. And last but not least, a desperate attempt to shift the attention away from people asking, what is a groyper? Actually, what does that even mean? Why did they hate Charlie Kirk? Why did they actually pursue Charlie Kirk physically in the real world? That's the reason why he's doing this. It's the same exact reason why I did not intervene in these affairs when I saw people attacking, when I saw his fans attacking Charlie Kirk and vice versa. Because I knew that if I were to present myself in the middle of that conversation, they would shift their attention away to a figure that they considered a larger enemy. If this man was an actual white nationalist neo-Nazi that believed in his convictions, he would be shifting his rhetoric out of fear of persecution. He's cosplaying. He has no real ideology. He's simply invested in the attention he gets in creating chaos and division for his own enjoyment. No, I think he's a real neo-Nazi. I think. I do. I believe he's a real neo-Nazi. Anyway, here is
Agreement.
Chuck Modi showing a Nick Fuentes talking about Charlie Kirk prior to the shooting versus, or after the shooting versus prior to the shooting. Let's take a look.
We had our disagreements. Where we did agree is that he would go to these college campuses and proclaim the name of Jesus Christ. And ultimately, that is why he was killed. The gunmen that killed him, they hated him because of his defense of Christian morality.
I'll go to Trump Live
Charlie
in a second.
Kirk cannot call himself a Christian anymore. Sorry, you forfeited that. I do not want to hear, and you cannot allow Charlie Kirk to go to one more public event, one more question and answer, one more ask me anything, without being protested, without being shouted down, without being interrogated about this. This guy goes around from campus to campus in the most artificial and phony and fake way, talking about, oh, God made me very blessed that I control $500 million. Oh, I'm so blessed. I'm so rich and I'm so blessed. And oh, God's been so good to me. I'm such a Christian. Oh, the Lord gave me the Sabbath. I take Saturday off. You sit there and call yourself a Christian and then you make excuses for the genocide of 2 million people? Seriously? You stand there and purport to be an evangelist like Billy Graham? Oh, you're the latest Billy Graham? You're our generation's America's pastor? Why? Because you said the right words? Because you said, God bless, God bless. God bless, my friend. Oh, I rebuke the devil in the name of Jesus. And then you go around from campus to campus making excuses for a famine?